Welcome to the Better Barbarian Podcast, where men learn to reclaim their power, rebuild their purpose, and become the kind of leaders their families want to follow. Here's your hosts, Travis Brown and Will Palmer.
Welcome to the Better Barbarian Podcast, Episode 1.
Better Barbarian.
And my name is Will.
I am Travis.
What's up, Travis? We are creating this content because I've been on this journey the last 4 years to figure out who I am as a person, how I want to show up in the world, how to repair a lot of damage I've created in my marriage and relationship. And not that you're perfect, but you're on a different spot in your journey where you are sort of this living testimony of if you do certain things and if you think a certain way, incredible joy can come from that. You know, incredible meaning and purpose and impact in your life can come from that. So I think we're a good pair to discuss this stuff, if I may say so.
Yeah, I think so too. Plus, we both have a lot of these. Obviously, there's things, that we are never going to be great at, but we do have a lot of gifts. And I think we both do a really good job of, which is something that people will need to remember, of helping point our gifts at the right things.
Yeah.
And I think and also helping highlight where you actually are gifted that you may not realize. You just don't really understand how you can apply it to this thing. And sometimes that is really uncomfortable. But anyway, yeah. So that's why I think and we've done that for each other. And now it's well, how are we going to impact others? How can we help others to experience some of these moments? And how do we experience these things with them together? How do we go outside of ourselves? And yeah, that's why I'm so excited about this.
Same. Yeah. And I think it is important to define how I have felt a lot lately as I go through my growth journey. And of course, you've experienced this at times too, more so maybe in your past with your story. But here's the deal. I think a lot of men feel like they are trapped between the life that they've built and the life that they actually want. Mm-hmm. And sometimes they don't even articulate the life they want. They just feel this sense of, success that looks good, but feels really hollow inside. Like there's just something missing, or that I have achieved in certain areas, but I don't really know what my purpose for that achievement is. Or, I've accumulated some form of wealth, but there's no fire or passion behind it. And then maybe I garner respect from people, maybe within my company or at work, but maybe not so much with the people that you love and care about the most, your partner, your kids, your best friend, your brother, your sister, your parents, whomever. And you've I just turned 40, and you kind of look up one day from the cloud of achievement and trying to run at something, and you're like, I feel like for me, I've lost my edge, and I've lost my mission and purpose, and I've lost focus on what really matters in life, which is family, your marriage, your health, the impact and meaning behind everything. And you're essentially maybe rich on the outside in certain ways, but you're poor on the inside. And what it takes to move past that. And that's kind of what we want to reveal today. And I think the whole idea of this Better Barbarian and why that name stuck, well, we're pretty funny, number one.
Yeah, I mean, at least one other person in this room thinks I'm really funny.
Yeah. We'll have to see what
Yeah.
everyone else thinks. Yeah. And Melissa's my wife. We were talking the other night about this podcast, and she's really good at sort of taking a concept and creating not a brand per se, but a real solid focus on what it is that we're trying to accomplish. And she's like, even from the 50s and 60s or all through human history, men, first of all, they run the world. They have deemed themselves subconsciously the greater, more powerful sex. And they are just there to provide, to show up at times for their kids, but be gone doing whatever they have to do to support the family financially. And certainly women do that too. But even with how they show up and how women now want them to show up to feel really valued, for their spouse to feel really loved and seen and understood. And it's just very different than what we've been taught by our parents and dad. And what maybe there's just been a lack of leadership from our fathers. I know we've both talked about that from your dad and my dad, where they're great men, but who is teaching men how to lead their families? Like, it's pretty darn rare. And I've had to learn that by making a million mistakes and having advice from my wife fall on deaf ears, until I've been able to surround myself with guys that are like, I really want to grow in a bunch of different areas, because I feel like there is something better. And I've always been scared of like intimacy and been scared of building this incredible life, because then I'll screw it up and I don't have confidence in myself. And then you were saying like this idea of discomfort, and I think that's where today's going to go. So I'll tee this up and then I'll pass it to you. But like, reconnecting with yourself requires you to step boldly into this unknown, which is really what we're going to do today, is step boldly into this unknown. Well, what does that mean? It means that doing things differently is going to feel discomfort or feel uncomfortable. But that is the door to expanding your gifts and expanding how you can create a lasting impact, even if it's just with your kids and your wife, because that's really all that matters, the people closest to you. And when we are challenged, because we're going to get tested every day. You're going to wake up, and whether it's tested by a coworker or tested by an angry wife or tested by your kids who don't feel like they respect you and they're back talking, whatever it is, or somebody says some snarky comment, could be anything. In those challenges, instead of shying away from them, saying, oh man, life sucks, it's really hard, I'm the victim and all of this stuff, you know, it's just never easy. Instead of that, saying, hey, challenge me, because I'm going to show up in strength. I'm going to embrace that, because I know who I am in my authentic self, and I can handle the challenges, because men like to win, and we like to feel like, hey, if I'm challenged in a game of basketball, I'm going to step up. You're going to guard the guy who keeps making the 3-point shots. You're going to lock him down. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So confidence.
Or die trying.
Or die trying, which we've seen you do. And this idea, like, confidence comes from expanding your edge, your physical edge, your emotional edge, your mental edge, your spiritual edge, or your sexual or intimate edge, and figuring out where you are now in those edges and being like, what does better look like? And for me, I just didn't know for the longest time. And now I feel like I have the understanding of what it looks like, the framework, and now we need to share it. So yeah, it's all about stepping into discomfort today.
Yeah. So, man, I feel like, again, as we talked about, like, I think a lot of times they don't realize that they are equipped. They do have certain things, certain strengths, certain gifts that would lend themselves to this journey. And it's so funny, because I was thinking about fantasy football or fantasy baseball or whatever else. And like, if somebody was like, or a project management or selling something, you start thinking about all these things that would cover a lot of people out there, a lot of guys out there. And they're like, if you wanted to be successful at that, if you want to move a project forward, a sale forward to close, if you wanted to win fantasy football amongst your friends, you would like, oh, I know exactly how I would go about it. I would do this, this, and this. I would look here. I would do this research. I would be in the know. I would look this. I would do this. I would understand who's on the other side of the conversation. And it's like, that all sounds like stuff that you would want to apply to this situation. But it's so wild that because it's different and it's new and it's kind of a different sport, if you will, or a different activity or a different job or a different focus. It's like, I'm just I'm unclear with how to apply what I already know how to do and the gifts I already have in this area to truly like grow as a whole person. And that's what it's like. And that's where this thing of how do we get somebody out of the gates? How do we help somebody do simple things? Simplify it, break it down and simplify it to like, we don't know everything, but these are some simple things that you can do to get to that spot that is possible, but only if you get out of the gates.
Yeah, exactly.
And and get into the discomfort.
And you're spot on, because why is it that men can be, why am I so good at knowing what my team at work needs from me and knowing how they need to feel seen and appreciated, and then like what are the things you do every week and all these different steps and frameworks to make sure the meetings happen and the time is there and the leadership is there and you're guiding them, and then at home, where's that at?
Mm-hmm.
Why does Melissa have to be like, hey, you're really good at this. You're a great leader in so many areas. You know what I would love for you to do is to lead at home.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's been told to me for 15 years, and I'm still learning that, which isn't like that causes a tidge of frustration for your spouse.
Yeah.
When they're like, hey, I really just need you to take these things seriously. Why is that not happening?
Mm-hmm.
And I think I said this the other day, like we all wake up as humans and as men, like inherently selfish. You wake up every day and it's like, I need to get done what I need to get done for me every day. And that's the lens we look through. And then we have to like decide or say, hey, I know I'm selfish. God, I know that that's how humans are. That's how we've been created. But you have given us a choice to actually lay all that down at the feet of, and we talked about like whether you believe in Jesus as a historical figure or just a man or a leader or whatever you believe in, and go be a light to others, especially reframing what is most important in your life. And that is the hardest thing society doesn't allow us to do very well. It's not like, hey, let me get the new car. Let me, we talk about like getting to a certain point and then feeling fulfilled. But you can choose and believe to feel fulfilled today by pointing that stuff, not point it at your career or suddenly not care, but like pointing it at what matters most. Your dang family, your wife, your kids, your faith. And then for yourself too, filling your own cup so that you can fill theirs. So much stuff.
I was just envisioning because Savannah Bananas have been on TV a little bit when we were hanging out with some friends. I was kind of thinking about they are very intentional with how they want to impact their audience and who's going to be in the crowd. And it's not your standard. It's real different who's in the crowd. It's like the faces, how they interact with the product are so different. So it's like, who is in your stands? Who is cheering? Like, who is the raving fan? And is it your family's faces? Is it a bunch of softball teammates, golf buddies? Is it a bunch of employees, coworkers? Who are the ones that are the actual fans that are like, that was awesome.
Yeah.
I loved coming and watching that show.
Yeah.
And it's like, but what would you need to do for it to be your wife? If there was nobody else in the stands and she's cheering, like, that is awesome. That is a sellout crowd.
And then feeling like that is enough for us.
Yeah.
Is the other tricky thing.
Yeah,
and
it's true.
It's crazy. Like, wait, that's enough?
You mean that's all I have to do? Well,
yeah, totally.
That is a perfect game. Yeah.
Melissa will be like, the reason I'm hard on you at times is because I see the good in you and I see who you are in your heart. And when you aren't showing up in a way that reflects who I know you are, it's like when you've got a really good ball player and the coach rides them because they know their potential. If you're married to the right person, they know your potential and they want to see you live that. And it's kind of weird because there's like times like when I'm talking to my 10-year-old daughter who is in theater and sings and dances and does the thespian stuff, where she's like, I don't want to practice this dance, or I don't want to practice this song that I have to sing for an audition. And literally this week I'm like, Blythe, I know you don't want to do it, but this is a gift for you. you're really good at it and you love to do it. It's not like I'm forcing her to do it. This is something she's been gravitating towards. And it's like, I believe in you so much, probably more than you believe in yourself right now, that I'm going to push you to do these things. And then she does them and she loves it. And it's like, we have people pushing us to be better, but we ignore it. Why do we ignore it so often?
I think is interesting as you were kind of playing that out, because I'm like, wait a sec. We have, if you're waiting for your wife to give you the nudge to go be your very best, sometimes it might not happen. I mean, it literally might not happen. So that's where it's like, it's a worthy endeavor. It's possible. And if you're waiting for that, maybe by going about this process, you'll see that. So there's something to think about where you're like, because not everybody's going to have, because we got to think about what's this going to look like in a lot of different situations. They may not have that, but where can they get that? So who's around you? Who's around you and what are their goals? And it doesn't mean you just got to cut anybody that isn't like in lockstep with you, but you probably are going to have to minimize your interactions with them and make sure you're starting to surround yourself with people who can see your potential before you can see it. Because some of us are really lucky, and we have we've leaned into conversations, we've leaned into interactions and connections, but overall, if you don't have that, like you talked about Melissa seeing your potential and wanting to be like, I believe that you can, and then you talking about Blythe and I have that at my household too, and with friends, but the process by which you get there, whether it's your wife doing it or a mentor or a friend out in church or a friend in a men's group or something like that, if none of those things exist, go and get those things. Where do those people hang out?
Yeah.
Where do they hang out? Most of the time at 10:37 p.m. at the local pub or bar. I'm going to say that's good. The likelihood is lower.
Right.
The likelihood is lower that man is headed toward being the star of a show that is attended by his family. Like so anyway, that's kind of the thing too, is like when I think about when I think about what this process, how to navigate through that, there's nothing wrong with 10:37, but I will say most of the time when it's 10:37 and I'm at a place like that, it's with you or one of our other people that we know. And a lot of the conversation, we talk about sports, we talk about this stuff, we talk about work, we talk about these things, but we also often are talking about our families and we're talking about what we're doing. And the crazy thing also is the conversation is it's less about bitching and whining about what's wrong with our spouse or our family or all this other stuff. And it's more about what do we need to do to support each other and what do we need to do to So I think that's one of the big differences too, is you'll have less likelihood if you really work diligently, and it can be person by person, conversation by conversation. It doesn't happen overnight to build people around you, but it's not going to happen instantly. But what you'll notice is like you're less likely to go down those paths that are kind of like steps backward in growth and steps backward toward being your best, and steps actually kind of that's like complaining and just bitching and not doing anything and just continuing the cycle is comfort. Discomfort is like, okay, I need to like figure this out. I need to like, what are you doing? What does your calendar look like? That's the stuff. That's the crazy stuff we talk about.
Yeah.
How are you guys navigating this calendar? Because it kind of feels like it's already full and I just started looking at it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Stuff like that. Anyway, okay.
But you're right. Because I mean, what you will have to do to feel fulfilled is break from the herd.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's no skirting around it. There's no sugarcoating it. You just will. And I think about the people, you know, I don't expect everyone in my life to like fill me and fill my cup, but you talk about the conversations you typically have with other men, whether it's other parents of your kids and stuff. And you're right. It's like we said the other day, sports, your job, you know, let's bitch about how hard it is to get our kids to every practice. And what are you doing this weekend? Oh, kid stuff, just running them around, just exhausted, trying to survive, waiting to get to summer, which is all true probably. But like, what can we do to break the herd? And we also talked about the people and the guys that are like just happy and joy filled. And like, like that's why you and I became really close friends pretty quickly. I felt, besides how funny we are, and people are scared of us when we're in a room together.
Yes.
They're like, I'm not sure what this energy
I don't know
is.
what
You
that
guys,
energy is.
I don't know what the bromance is, but
Yeah.
it I either gravitate towards it or it is sort of a threat to my
Extreme
ego.
repulsiveness. Yeah.
Absolutely repulsive. And it's like, you didn't just show, that's just not you, because God gave you the gift of being happy. Like, there's a massive amount of work that people don't see for you to be able to go to get coffee and tell a barista how thankful you are and how they should have a great day, or having a conversation with a guy below us in my office who is wanting money because he has none to do whatever with, and to bless them and look for those ways to bless people. So we're getting a little bit on a tangent, but like breaking from the whole herd and stepping boldly into the unknown is what it takes to become something much greater that leads, not at work, not at a sports team as you coach or wherever else, but leads themselves and their families into greatness. And I think I just got to mention this because I think you've figured this out and I haven't at times. There's an imposter feeling when you do something different, when you maybe start to pray with your family, or where you go, and I did this week because we have never done it, and I created like a marriage healing plan for the things I've done that require healing for Melissa. And like, how do I want to show up in the marriage? How do you want to show up? Let's actually define it. But it feels like if you just decide to switch that on one day, like you're an imposter and you just play this story, and this is the story I will play in my head. Oh, you're going to suddenly pray. Oh, you're just holier than thou. All of a sudden you're leading us to church and you haven't shown up like some godly person. Or, oh, you're going to create a plan for the marriage. I bet you're not even, that's great. It's just, but the actions after this plan, you're going to do it for a couple weeks and then it's over, because that's what you've shown me. And you're getting safety tested by showing up, and those safety tests often are an excuse enough to not even start out of the gate, because you know you're going to get crap for it when you do it differently, and you're not up for the challenge because you don't have confidence in yourself that this is who you can be.
So. I think, man, it's like, it's interesting because you're like, there's like a psychological thing when you talk about the outcome. There's good things about setting a goal. That's really good. But kind of talking about what you're going to do, what it's going to look like, that's really important. Continuing to talk about it, they talk about you get some sense of satisfaction because you're visualizing that it's already done.
Yeah.
So then it's like, so there's aspects to it that are more like, okay, you know where you want to go. You know what you want it to look like. You done did that.
Yeah.
Now, what does the day look like? What does each day look like? What does the actual, real, manageable day and goal look like? Like we talked about last time, or we've talked about before. We're going to pray before we eat. Are you kidding me? We're going to pray before we eat? Let's say I got kids that are this age and they got opinions. Seriously? Oh, we're gonna pray at the Olive Garden or whatever restaurant you're at. I don't know who's going to the Olive Garden
the OG,
right now.
Dude,
but I do want them. But I do not want to go to a place that has a wait and has no option for reservations.
OG always has a wait.
That is true. Wednesday nights. We tried to go once. We got a gift card. Somebody knew we needed to go have soup, salad, and breadsticks.
Right.
Gift card? Wait. We left. Yeah, we left. But was this whole thing about going to the Olive Garden?
Yeah, finally we've revealed the pivot.
Here's
the deal with Olive Garden.
The discomfort
Yeah.
is going back to a chain restaurant
Yeah.
and experiencing a wait and all the people that are there.
Right.
And the fact that they've reduced the cool stuff that comes on the salad. They've reduced the olives, okay?
I don't want the onions.
And they've increased the onions. Onions are very inexpensive.
I don't like onions.
They do add color. They add nothing else.
Nothing else.
Okay.
That's fine. So that's okay. Olive Garden.
Yeah.
We just had to plug the Olive Garden. Today's podcast is sponsored by none other. No. So I think you're talking about the plan, and we're talking about how it's received and how we feel like maybe thinking about a plan is growth. But I think the bottom line is like I want to be careful, but weak men or people that haven't built resilience yet to some of this, let the world dictate their energy. Like they let the excuses and the stories turn them into a victim of all the crap, all the stress tests, the safety tests that happened to them. And it's like, where's that playful, light, goofy version of myself that doesn't take it all so seriously? And like, how do you move from a path of force where you're trying to control everything and there's consequences from operating under pressure and stress, and how your emotions are like blown up and defensive and you're trying to get the kids out the door, to a path of power where you decide how to feel, you decide what can happen, you actually have control over that, and you're operating from a place of calm confidence and unshakable presence and this deep sense of self-trust. And I think that's the thing we're talking about with discomfort, is to build self-trust. And I like to say this is making and keeping the promises to yourself or to your family consistently over time. That's how you build confidence. And there's this protocol that we can talk about before we kind of wrap this episode up, of starting your day with intention. And there will be times where I do this for a month, and then lately I haven't. And today was the first time I did this in a long time, where you got to wake up a little earlier. And instead of waking up to a kid screaming and trying to find snacks for their backpack and then running out the door, which happened today despite waking up early. So I'm just telling you, this is a work in progress for me. But you wake up, and this is called in my journal the alpha rise and shine, where you're waking up and you're doing a few things, even if it's for like 20 minutes. I, at one point, was waking up at 5:30 and spending like 60 to 90 minutes doing these things, where there's like a 5-step protocol in the morning that I can share with you right now, and then you can talk about it. So one is just attuning to the day, where let's drink a glass of water right out of the gate, because that's going to expand my physical edge. As small as that is, wake up and drink some water. Move your body a little bit. Maybe you run, maybe you do some yoga, maybe you just walk outside and let sunlight hit your face. You don't have to be Tony Robbins and go do an ice plunge, or that crazy guy who's trying to live forever and has like a 30-step routine to like put
Brian olive oil.
Dude, yeah, consume the most beautiful organic olive oil.
Yeah.
Or put it into your coffee, which I'm not judging, but I'm also judging that you did that today.
The polyphenols
coursing through me. I don't even know what that is, but I'm going to trust it's good based on you. So you're attuning, and then you're doing something to learn. Maybe you're reading, doing a Bible study, listening to this podcast. And then you're prioritizing, like, how can I win today? I remember recently going through all this, and excuse my language a little bit, but what I've fallen victim to a lot is like this mental masturbation of consuming this self-help stuff. If you looked at my Audible, it's all like the comfort crisis, how to stop giving an F, how to change your mind, how to live in spirituality, and how to do meditation, and how to be 10% happier. It's like all of that, but none of that actually translates. And then Melissa boiled it down the other day. She's like, you know what? Forget all that stuff for 2 seconds, because it's confusing you, and it's frankly not helping me feel safe and loved and seen. If you just asked one question, how can I bless my wife today? And that was how you defined winning the day. If you're not married, how can I bless this person today that's been on my mind? And prioritize that as the definition of winning. And then that's your morning. You just write the dang thing down. We talk about journaling a lot. Journaling is key. And that's the intention, and that's the discomfort, because you're going to do that and feel stupid doing it at first. And you're going to be like, I don't know what to write. You could write that. I don't know what to write about today, and then see what happens next. You wrote something. And so like, hey, can you commit to waking up 30 minutes earlier today and just writing down how I want to win the day, and see how that changes you from from reactionary and living in a life of force. You're forcing the world to bend at your will, to a life of power where I don't have to force the world to bend at my will. I can just bend my own will to what is going to create meaningful impact to the people I love. So that's maybe the protocol you can try out and start doing. So maybe you can talk about how you do that, or how you gain that energy, or how you go to prayer, or how you align your values and yourself with who you believe you are called to be. It's just not easy.
Yeah, it's funny thing is Schaefer, he had shower day.
Your son.
My son Schaefer, and so he came up and was like, "Hey," he's like, "What are you doing? Don't you wake up at this time?" Because I do have this routine. And so he's like, normally you're down like doing lunches, snacks, all these other things like already. And I'm like, that's true. Yeah. I'm like, why don't you come up here with me? And he just stared at me. I'm like, okay, I'm coming down.
Yeah. He's like, I don't know what you mean.
So what I was going to say is come in here, snuggle with me. I mean, he's almost 10. So that was swing and a miss for me.
Yeah, at least you swung.
He just wants me to get done with all these things so that I can come down and play some, Fortnite or what he wants me to try. He always wants me to play video games with him if possible. So all that to be said, though, it's most days, even he knows that I have a routine, and he knows I'm doing a certain thing when he comes downstairs. And he knows a lot of times it has to do with this, that, or the other thing. Sometimes it's the devotional on YouVersion Bible app. And, you don't have to get... It's like, well, which devotional how should I do it? You just have to take a step. You just have to do a thing. So anyway, all that to be said, that's what that looks like. But I do know a really kind of an incredible thing the other day. A certain song came on that has a really fantastic message. And it's by this artist named Brandon Lake. And I saw my son singing it, kind of like half singing it, And so I'm like, oh my gosh, you know this song? And he goes, you listen to it all the time. So right now, if you think about it, those little habits, I don't have a leather-bound Bible that has tabs and tattered and notes and all these things that I might picture as the ideal day starter. I'm not doing P90X, which actually, funny throwback, who even knows what that is?
Tony Horton, or I don't know. His name's Tony, I think.
Tony Shred.
Tony Shredder.
T-Shred.
T-Shred.
So I'm not doing that. But the interesting thing is, out of these, it's a really simple, it's not that much time. Out of those things, he knows when I'm not doing it. And he's like, what is happening? He's like, this is weird. What's going on? You're usually supposed to be down there kind of hitting your mojo, already had some coffee, got the lunches and snacks going. You got your devotional playing too loud, or your worship music, or whatever positive thing that you're going to dip into in the morning. He knows that wasn't there. So that was that thing. The other thing is he knows the words to some of these positive, uplifting, incredible message things because he's heard them so many times. So the accidental impact of these very baby alpha, it's a baby step. So simple so short. The accidental impact, not necessarily accidental, but accidental impact is his extreme awareness and knowledge of what is actually happening, and him acknowledging it and being aware of what's happening from his dad.
Yeah,
which is crazy.
Because there'll be conversations in the future as he grows into a man where he will take on those habits.
Yeah.
And he will ask about them, or he will be open enough for you to share how it helps. And maybe he'll be like, yeah, I actually think this is something, it's funny because it's like you look back on your childhood, and I envision Schaefer doing this, and it's like, that's something that finally clicked for me because I just saw my dad doing it, and we talked about the other day, the eulogy, what would be said, who says it. And like, for me, a lot of times the eulogy is like, man, was he a great leader at work? Man, did everyone around him feel loved and respected? Man, was he kind and giving? And then my wife comes and she speaks. And the brutal truth, and I wrote this down when I was in Oregon doing a men's retreat a couple months ago, was like, he was a loving man. He had his demons and his addictions and his stuff he struggled with, and he tried really hard. But gosh, he had so much potential to impact his family in the way he attempted to impact others, because those other things gave him a feeling of like accomplishment. And things at home can be a crap show a lot of times, and maybe there isn't this feedback of praise like you get in a professional environment or from a friend. He died not being and living fully as the man he could have been to really impact us. And that is the hard truth. That is what she would say today, even though she would say, I'm on a growth journey. But that hasn't translated enough and consistently enough to be felt. And so the thing I think about with you as well, and this is like an intangible thing I've mentioned a little bit, it's like you are so confident in who God created you to be because you've done the work and gone inside of your own heart to discover those things. You've had people in your life like your grandfather who passed to help you see how that impacted him at the end of his life when he suddenly got a 90-day time frame to lived a little longer than that, but changed his life at the nth hour to focus on the right thing. And you saw before he focused on the right thing what that looked like and the consequences of that and what it meant to suddenly say, hey, I have 90 days to live. I'm going to choose with these last 90 days to pivot and focus on the right thing. And that created for you, I believe, this central identity that through faith and through your family and through other things, through like when you are not living that way because you are so intentional about what it feels like and what you have to do to live that way, when you're off 5% or you're off 50% or you're just a little off kilter, you feel it and you know it and you recognize it. And if you're new to this work, like I am, sometimes you don't. You just think like, wow, today just feels really easy. I'm going to chalk it up as a win. I'm lucky. But like you are so rooted in who you are, when that is not being played out and it's you're not showing up that way, man, you can identify it and move it back to where it needs to be. And so maybe talk about that for just a minute or two, and then we can.
Yeah, because there's times like, kids, I don't know, allergies, coming back from time away, whatever, plantar fasciitis in people's feet. I don't all these things, right? Where you're like, and then all of a sudden, maybe like because it's NBA playoffs, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna watch some highlights instead of go to bed at a decent time. I'm like, I'm kind of wired. I'm going to watch some highlights. And then I keep watching highlights. And then I got to go back and watch some Michael Jordan highlights, because how could I watch NBA playoff highlights and not watch some Michael Jordan highlights? So, okay, all that to be said, next day, maybe I do wake up and do the alpha thing, but maybe I'm a little short with the family. Maybe I'm not as dialed in. Maybe I forget crap. Maybe I'm like, oh man, I was supposed to pick up so-and-so, or I was supposed to do this. And now, like you said, like the day is kind of kicking my butt. The day, the day is just running me and I'm playing catch up all day and I'm reacting and all this. And then it's like, okay, it's not always a guarantee, but what leads to my best? What leads to my family's best for the day? And then it's like, okay, go back. What is the truth? Right? If you're like we talked about, like the capital T, capital L, for me, it's being in the Word of God. It's connecting with Jesus. And if it's not that for anybody, it's what is the truth for you? What is the actual truth? And going back to that, what are the things that lead to that? How do I correct? How do I go back? Okay. Tonight I'm going to go to bed at a really great time. I'm going to have the right mindset when I go to bed. In the morning, I'm going to do my alpha rise. Whatever that looks like for you, stop painting the ideal picture and do what it looks like for you. Don't overthink it, Get back into the mojo. Make coffee for your wife. Get snacks for your kids. Be positive and have fun in the morning, even if they're cranky and upset. And then there you go. You're back to stacking great days. And so I think that's the thing, like, when you're like, yeah, it's actually like getting back on it, because you're going to have days, right, where you're like, you're going to have days, but you just can't allow it to be, you just can't allow it to be 2 days or 3 days in a row. You just have to say, okay, that's it. Waking up early, or I'm, meeting my wife for lunch, or I'm planning a date, or whatever it may be. I got to get back to who are my raving fans, and the number one most important box seat owner is my wife, and then after is everybody else. Yeah. Absolutely, positively, is my wife pleased and happy and fulfilled and feel loved and passion? And if that is the case, okay, what about my kids?
Right.
And then if all that's the case, what about everybody else?
Totally.
And if anything's off, like I loved what Craig Groeschel, neglect anything besides your marriage. Neglect anything in the world besides that.
And here's the trap I've fallen into with that. It's like, the insight. We're giving it away right now. So you have the insight. Yeah, I could see why that would make sense. The triangle of importance, they're at the top. And if you're a faith-based person, that's at the top. And then what's crazy is subconsciously, I'm thinking to myself, again, cause and effect. My wife is asking me for time. And if it comes to that point, that means you're not doing those things. And then for me, she's asking for time with me, dedicated to just us connecting. And then I'm not doing it. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I am and sometimes I'm not. And why am I not? It's because there's this underlying belief that, well, they're always going to be there. We've made our vows. They're going to stick with it. And whether I do or not carve out some time, it's not going to change our marriage. That's what you think, because they're just going to be there and you're going to be fine. Whereas you don't do something different for your job. What if I get fired? What if I make less money? What if people don't respect me? It's like there's just this different connection. And then that made me think of one other really important thing, which is who you're doing it for. And here's the biggest trap I also have fallen into. You think of these things as a chore. Again, we wake up selfish every day innately. When I first hear something like, you have to wake up earlier and show up differently to help the people around you, all true. But then you think of it as a chore. Like when my alarm goes off and it's 5:30 or 6 and I spent time watching Jordan highlights the night before, fine. I'm tired. I can't show up for my kids and my wife or anyone else if I'm tired. And it's so easy to think of that in the moment and be like, I deserve sleep. I've been busting my butt all day for everybody to support them. I deserve sleep. And you don't not deserve sleep. But what you deserve more is time for you. And the minute I made a shift that I'm not actually waking up early to set intention for my day for Melissa or my kids or my work or you or it's doing it for you to fill your own cup. Because we as men deserve to have our own time, uninterrupted, not being yelled at by people in the family or the dog or the cat needing stuff, which is crazy because we have a cat, and the second I actually have a time, I'm like, the flipping cat knocked over this thing. I'm like, Maggie, I have to deal with enough. Now you're going to cause a ruckus. But you have to do it. You do it for you. You don't have to do it for you. That is literally who you're doing it for. Because one thing I wrote is that your leadership is rooted in your ability to be grounded and self-fulfilled. You lead yourself first before you lead others. You create your own reality so you're not reacting to the reality around you that you cannot control when the waves are crashing against your lighthouse. Are you a boat flopping in the waves, being reactive, or did you wake up early for you to say, I'm declaring myself worthy of greatness? Therefore, I wake up early because selfishly, I'm going to fill my darn cup up and I'm going to be intentional. You have to have that mindset change or you're just not going to do it because we're not going to do it.
Yeah. It's like fortification, right? It's like laying the foundation for your best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And all I would say is, to wrap this up, there's no guarantee. All we are asking is for you to do one thing differently and just see the feeling that you get from being proactive and not reactive, and believing that there is something greater for you and choosing to pursue it. We could describe it all day, but you got to just try it. And here's the challenge, maybe for 7 days, for just a week, wake up 30 minutes earlier and write down one thing you want to do to win the day. And it should be probably pointed at the people that are closest to you that you love the most. Do one thing to win the day, define it, share it. That's a whole other topic we won't get into. Start there. That's the one thing you can do to step into your greatness.
Yep. Take the first step.
Yeah. There it is. Any other parting words from you?
No. This is just, I don't know. You
didn't cry.
I know I didn't cry.
Should I punch you in the
that
kneecap
was good.
And then you'll at least you'll get some tears going?
I can't feel my knees.
Oh yeah, right. Your numb knees from basketball.
I guess I just like if there's just these certain moments that are on the other side of this, like the 7 days, and they don't happen always right away. Some people, they may happen the first day. So great. Some people may happen the 7th day. Some may have to be 2-3 weeks, whatever it may be. But there's these certain moments that happen on the other side of leaning into the discomfort and stacking the days and doing the simple thing, waking up 30 minutes early. Just do it once, just do it twice, 3 times, just do it for a week. There's these beautiful things that happen that are even better than what you imagine.
Got to trust it. That's the faith.
Yeah.
Whether it's literal faith in your higher power or just faith in the life you have that's going to be over in half a second.
Yeah.
Like, we're wasting time. We're challenging people to stop wasting time.
Yeah. Today's the day, baby.
Today's the day. Go be great. Step into your greatness today. And what we want to do with this podcast is kind of oscillate between two things. One are these general concepts to get your mind right. I'm learning it. In a lot of ways, you've already learned it, and we can go back and forth, and I can talk about my journey. You can talk about the journey you've been on and how that's impacted your life. And then also talk about what are the specific scenarios that we as men find ourselves in when we are stress tested to the max, and how can we respond differently to those scenarios that everyone has, and everyone is, it stresses you out, and like you just accept this is the cross, the burden I have to bear. But it's not, and there are different things you can do very specifically that if you find yourself in this situation, here's what you can try. Because that's part of the positive thing about the last 4 years is of all the mental things I've consumed, I do have the playbooks. Now it's running the play. Consistently. So let's talk about the plays. Let's show you how to run them. You can talk about the life on the other side and what that feels like, because you are the guy that people come across and see as a light. That's what I see, and that's what I know. And I know that from other people because they say there's something about this guy that I can't even describe. I just feel like I'm safe with him and that he's got love in his heart. Mm-hmm. And that's a whole bigger thing. But that's who you are, Travis. And that's what I want, and that's what a lot of men want. And we can teach them that.
Yeah, if you've ever experienced, that would be the thing too. Whether you have or not, I don't know. I guess I feel like because I felt that, because I've felt that from others, and I felt what that was like, now I feel this like I feel like this call to help others feel that way. But that's what the beauty that I'm describing is, because it was been revealed to me and it's been shown to me. And so now I'm like, my gosh, like there is something so special and so beautiful, and the path is so simple, and it's like, it's not easy, but it's so simple. And it's like this, you don't have to search. Yeah. The search is over. So I appreciate you saying that. I also feel like I, often will need help pointing gift or pointing light. And so, especially you and some of our other people we're lucky to have in our circle, help me point the light. Mm-hmm. And help me narrow the focus, to increase impact and fulfill who I was created to be.
Dude, so let's create a tribe of men who break from the herd and step into who they're meant to be, and can have that ripple effect of creating just immense joy and meaning for everyone else in their life, because they've chosen to give themselves that gift first. That's a choice you're going to make starting today, is what we would encourage. So go get it.
Do it.
Thanks for listening to the Better Barbarian Podcast. Be sure and check us out on YouTube or social media, or head to thebetterbarbarian.com and join our community of like-minded men. See you on the next episode.